Today we are discussing sharing tactics, techniques, and tricks of the trade. Hi, I'm Matt Hinkle with Box Alarm Training, and today I'm joined with a good friend of mine, Russell McCullar. Russell is a rescue instructor and a rescuer within the National Urban Search and Rescue System. So today we're talking about educational resources, and basically if I have a fundamental working knowledge of skills, but I want to hone my craft or go farther or deeper into the subject matter, where can I go to do that?
That's a good question, Matt. That's what we're here to talk about today, is some of those educational resources that are out there and maybe some of the ones that the audience doesn't know about. When someone takes a class, they get certified, but they want to get deeper, they want to really master a technique or their craft, where do they look? What do they go to? What are their resources? And believe it or not, those resources are probably not going to be within an NFPA standard, and they're probably not going to be within some of the major fire service publishers. Some of those things, what's kind of interesting about the fire service is so much happens through the tradition of oral tradition. A lot of stuff is passed down, and a lot of really good information out there stays regionalized and maybe within a few key individuals, maybe within a department, and it doesn't get spread. And we have 1.2 million people in the fire service, but one of the things that we've kind of failed to do is provide a central location where you can go and get source information and current information on some of these tactics and techniques.
So if I'm a rescuer looking for published literary resources, where can I go to find those resources?
Well, I would go to the National Emergency Training Center, Learning Resource Center, or the library located on the campus of the National Fire Academy. You can access them through their website, NETC LRC, and from that point you can search for textbooks, trade magazines, journals, and even articles written by executive fire officer candidates.
So firefighters are usually pretty familiar with Fire Rescue Magazine, Fire Engineering Magazine, things like that, but as far as technical rescuers and publications, what do you look for? What kind of publications and trade magazines, those kind of things?
Some of the other things I found out there that are a pretty good resource are Technical Rescue Magazine, coming out of Great Britain. I think they publish quarterly. If you want to go old school, you can look at old NASAR publications, the National Association of Search and Rescue, and really old school is the National Speleological Society's vertical section, dealing with things rope way before we were dealing with them as a fire service.
So when we move past the surface content, basically the major publications like what we just named, and I'm more interested in grassroots, backyard testing, the professionals that are conducting their own research and testing, where do I go to find those kind of things?
That's really interesting. In the world that we live in, it turns out that by the time a big publication takes something to print, a lot of information is already dated. A lot of things have actually already fallen to the wayside, and maybe some of the tactics and techniques that we're using. So those groups out there that are really pushing the envelope and coming out with a lot of new material can be found in kind of fringe areas around the country and even the world. One of the ones that stands out to me is the International Technical Rescue Symposium, or ITERS. And this has been going on for over 30 years, but at the International Technical Rescue Symposium, 150 professionals in vertical rescue come together and they present on testing that they've done, maybe backyard testing of their own. And they're testing belay methods or braking strengths, pulley efficiencies. Any number of subjects are fair game at ITERS. And they publish 14-page or so documents. They present PowerPoints, and all this stuff is available at itersonline.org. Some of the other groups that are presenting some pretty cool stuff and putting information out there include Richard Delaney, Rob Stringer, both out of Australia, and the Rescue Response Gear out of the Pacific Northwest is putting a lot of really neat information out there.
So we talked about published literary resources. We talked about some of the major trade publications that we know, and then past that, past the surface content, some of the deeper things that are going on with these grassroots communities and backyard testing and things like that. We, both of us have had an opportunity to do some pretty unique classes and environments to learn. One of those that sticks out in my mind is the National Cave Rescue Commission, NCRC. And literally at the end of the night, you're sitting around a campfire doing skills checkoffs, learning about some of your rescue techniques. So doing that, you start to run into a lot of working professionals that really know their skills, not from reading or testing, but from actually doing. So Russell, how many people or where are some of the avenues that you've seen some of this go on across the country?
That's what we were kind of talking about earlier. There's so much out there that is regionalized or in sects or cliques or fringe groups. It's not being shared out there across the greater rescue community. And some of the things are not what you read out of a textbook or not what you read in a standard, but what you actually get from those professionals that do it for a living. So the technique could be a really quick way of finding out a raker angle. It could be a way to perform a breach. It could be a neat way to force a door or force entry that people haven't seen before and it's not being taught. Any of these things are material that's not being captured and disseminated to a broader audience. And you can find those usually from your seasoned veterans, a lot of the people who potentially might be going out the door soon. And we want to try to capture that information from them before they're gone and it's not passed down to future generations.
So today we're actually going to show you a trick of the trade that we picked up. Really interesting technique or party trick of the trade. So Russell, explain the background behind it and what we're about to do.
So some of the viewership might know we're kind of rope guys. So we have a rope trick that we want to throw out there. So if we're going to ask you guys to show us some of your tactics, techniques, and tricks of the trade, we want to show you one of ours. And this one has to do with the Aztec kit. This is the Pulley System. It's a quick 4-to-1, 5-to-1 that's kind of gained a lot of popularity out there. And this is a trick that we picked up from a colleague of ours, Dale Miller, by way of Ropes That Rescue out in Southwest United States. If you're familiar with the Aztec kit, when you put it away, one of the things that you want to do is collapse your pulley system all the way. We call that two blocking the system, and what it prevents is the blocks from flipping around and getting entangled. But if you are like me and have maybe students or colleagues that are unwittingly sabotaging your equipment, sometimes these tend to get fouled or entangled, and it can be quite frustrating, especially in the heat of the moment, in action when you need these things to work or perform their job, and you find that they're entangled and they're hopelessly overcome with friction. So we're going to show you a little bit of a trick to unfoul your Aztec pulley system.
So now we have one that's actually been spoiled. We have one that's already been twisted, that we have sabotaged, and you're in a pretty sticky situation if this happens to you.
So if you're familiar with the Aztec kit, you might know that the orange prusik corresponds with the orange blocks and the blue prusik corresponds with the blue blocks. But as you can see, this thing is hopelessly tangled. So we're going to give you about a 4-step process to untangle this thing. We're going to start with the haul line. And the haul line is going right into the middle of this tangled mess. And with the haul line, I want to grab it, and like I'm untangling a knot, I want to pull the pulley blocks up through the system until I can isolate that haul line. As you can see right now, the haul line is isolated and free from entanglement. Now I'm going to hand this part of the pulley system over to Matt. From this point, I start with the blocks, and I'm looking for 2 ropes together in parallel, leaving the blocks, and I'm going to run my hands down these 2 ropes. As I run down the ropes, I isolate and I flip the blocks. One flip and we're untangled. All 4 strands, no crosses, no friction. And that's an untangled set of Aztec kit blocks. To put them away, we'll collapse the blocks all the way until they're completely 2-blocked. And that is how you untangle an Aztec kit.
So I remember when Dell showed us that trick of the trade, it basically blew our minds. We were thinking this is extremely helpful. So we know there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of other tricks of the trade that they don't really, or they share within house, and it never really gets published to the masses. So if a reader, if you're out there and you want to contribute, or if you have some of these ideas, just some of these things that help with your efficiency, speed you up, any kind of trick of the trade like that, we're generating an avenue for you to share those ideas. So Russell, explained to them basically, we're going to provide a spot on our website with a survey that Russell has built. And that survey is basically going to allow you to submit ideas and share ideas.
So yeah, we're looking for tips, tricks of the trade, tactics, techniques that you feel like is not out there. Maybe something that your squad, your engine, your department came up with and you want to share it with a broader audience. And in our world, seconds matter, time matters, and a lot of things are life and death. So that one idea, that one trick might be a game changer for someone on the other side of the country. So we're looking for information that can do with, it can be rope rescue related, it can be heavy rescue, USAR, helo, swift water, it can be fireground techniques, forcible entry or ventilation, things that maybe are not mainstream. Maybe they're fringe, maybe you feel like they're in those isolated pockets and they need to be shared out there because after all, we're here to make a difference and we're here to save a life when it matters most.
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't really want to publish themselves on YouTube and publish these ideas out. But the fact is, if you don't share the information, nobody ever learns from it. And so that's really why I created the YouTube channel that I have and the website that I have, is to share information. So being able to provide that or provide a method to share more information is exactly what we're about. So if you have them, if you have the ideas, share them. You can contact Russell or I from the website. We'll be happy to answer any of your questions or help guide you on how to share that information. But go to the website. You're going to look in the article. There's actually going to be a link there to submit into this survey. And then Russell will basically kind of vet that survey, maybe contact you, because what we discussed, some of the survey may not have everything you need to explain these tricks or techniques, like pictures, videos, that kind of thing.
That's right. We're looking for, in the survey, just what's your department, what's your organization, what technique or what discipline does your tactic apply to. But what it lacks is we may need to contact you and get some photographs. We might need to get some video. We might need to get a little bit of additional media content so that we can deliver that out there on the website and people can understand. If the tactic is really strong, if it's good, we'll vet them and we'll practice them and make sure that it's safe. And we're going to put it out there for the masses. We really want to share some of this good information.
And if the contributor, if you're going to contribute, what are we going to do with that contributor's material? It's not our content, it's your content. So
yeah, so we want to fully give credit to whoever it is. So we'd like to give credit to the inventor of the technique, the department, the organization, the rescue team, and ultimately we would like to share this with the rescue community through the media, through the website, and we'd also like to maybe pump this out there to our urban search and rescue teams around the country, particularly some of the techniques that deal with heavy rescue, urban search and rescue operations. Maybe you have a new way of using a tool, maintaining a tool, a new technique for a new piece of equipment that's been added to the cache, like the grip hoist. Any of these things might be of tremendous value, and maybe it's a real life street story of a rescue or a close call that some of your tactics or techniques got you out of a jam on. So we want to absolutely give credit to whoever did it. We'll just do the legwork and put the information out there for others to make a difference.
So if you have any of these, or you know people that may be interested in it, share the videos or share the articles with them and tell them about it. That way we can get some of the information. So thank Russell for sharing this stuff with us. Hopefully you will be able to submit some of this and have an opportunity to share your knowledge. And we appreciate it. So in the meantime, you can see all this content. I'll provide the links below, but it's www.boxalarmtraining.com. You can also go to YouTube and search Box Alarm Training. You'll find the videos there. And the survey will be in an article on the website. So just check out the website. You'll be able to find that survey link.